What if I told you that you could pull $5,000 every single month from your Fidelity account and never run out of money? Not from some complicated trading strategy, not from crypto, not from flipping houses. Just boring, beautiful index funds sitting in your Fidelity account, doing the heavy lifting while you sleep. Today, I'm going to show you the exact dollar amount you need invested in Fidelity index funds to generate $5,000 a month. And more importantly, I'm going to show you how to actually get there, even if your account balance right now makes you want to close the app. So, let's start with the math, because the math is what sets you free. $5,000 a month is $60,000 a year. That's the target. Now, the safest, most battle-tested way to pull income from an investment portfolio is called the 4% rule. It comes from a study called the Trinity Study, and here's what it found. If you withdraw 4% of your portfolio in year one and adjust for inflation each year after that, your money survives for 30 years or more in almost every historical scenario tested. Recently, the original creator of the 4% rule even updated his research and suggested 4.7% may be safe. But let's stick with 4%, because being conservative with your future is not a weakness, it's a superpower. So, if you need $60,000 a year and you're pulling 4%, you work the formula backwards. $60,000 divided by 0.04 equals $1,500,000. That's the number. $1.5 million invested in Fidelity index funds, and you can withdraw $5,000 a month with confidence. Now, before you click away thinking that number is impossible, stay with me, because what I'm about to break down changes everything. Let's talk about which Fidelity index funds actually make sense for this. You don't need 15 funds. You don't need a financial advisor charging you 1% to pick them. You need 2, maybe 3 funds, and Fidelity makes it embarrassingly easy. Fund number 1 is FXAIX, the Fidelity 500 Index Fund. This tracks the S&P 500, the 500 largest companies in America: Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, all of them. The expense ratio is 0.015%. That means for every $10,000 you invest, Fidelity charges you $1.50 per year. The S&P 500 has averaged roughly 10% annual returns over the last 30 years, with dividends reinvested. FXAIX currently pays a dividend yield around 1.2%. No minimums, no load fees, just pure, low-cost market exposure. Fund number 2 is FZROX, the Fidelity Zero Total Market Index Fund. This one is special. The expense ratio is literally 0%. It holds over 2,500 stocks across large, mid, and small companies. You get the entire U.S. stock market in one fund for free. The 5-year average return sits around 12.6%. It also pays dividends, with a yield near 1%. Now, if you want international diversification, you can add FZILX, the Fidelity Zero International Index Fund. Also, 0% expense ratio. This gives you exposure to companies outside the U.S. It's not required, but it adds a layer of protection. Here's the thing most people get wrong. They hear $1.5 million, and they immediately disqualify themselves. They say, "That's not for people like me." And that belief alone is what keeps them broke. Because $1.5 million is not a lump sum you need to find under a mattress. It's a destination you build toward, and compounding does most of the work. If you invest $500 a month into FXAIX or FZROX starting today, and the market returns an average of 10% per year, In 30 years, you'll have roughly $1,130,000. Bump that up to $750 a month, and you cross $1.5 million in about 28 years. At $1,000 a month, you're there in roughly 25 years. And if you can do $1,500 a month, you hit $1.5 million in about 22 years. The gap between impossible and done is just a few $100s a month, and the patience to let time do its thing. Now let's talk about what $5,000 a month actually looks like in real life. The average American household spends about $6,440 a month. But strip out the car payment, the subscriptions you forgot about, the lifestyle inflation that crept in, and $5,000 becomes very livable. Especially if your house is paid off, especially if you have no debt. That $5,000 covers groceries, utilities, insurance, gas, and still leaves room for travel and fun. And here's what most people miss about the 4% rule. In the majority of historical cases, your portfolio doesn't just survive, it actually grows. Meaning, after 30 years of pulling $5,000 a month, you could still have more money than you started with. Let me talk about the withdrawal strategy for a second, because this matters. You don't just dump everything in FXAIX and start pulling cash. When you get close to your target number, you want to start shifting a portion into more stable funds, something like FXNAX, the Fidelity U.S. Bond Index Fund. This cushions your portfolio during market crashes, so you're not forced to sell stocks when they're down. A common split is 80% stocks, 20% bonds during your early withdrawal years, then gradually shifting more into bonds as you age. The biggest risk isn't the market crashing. The biggest risk is you panicking during a crash and selling everything. That's why the boring portfolio wins. Index funds don't need you to watch them. They don't need you to time the market. They just need you to keep showing up. So, here's the play. Open a Fidelity account if you don't have one. It takes 10 minutes. Put your first $100, $500, whatever you have, into FXAIX or FZROX. Set up automatic monthly investments. Then, don't touch it. Let dividends reinvest. Let compounding stack. Let time be your business partner. In 20 to 30 years, you'll be the person pulling $5,000 a month from your portfolio, while everyone else is still wondering if they should start investing. The lowest amount you need is $1.5 million, but the lowest amount you need to start is whatever's in your pocket right now. The gap between those two numbers is filled with consistency, patience, and the decision you make today. If this helped you see a path forward, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.